Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I want to share with you how you can prepare effectively and cover so much when you have limited amount of time. By the way, this video should not encourage procrastination because a lot of times students reach out for videos like this when they just have a limited amount of time before their exams. So in as much as this video will be helpful, I encourage that you start early to prepare for your exams and not wait until you have just a little amount of time before your exams. I know we are humans and a lot of times we don't feel like studying, but we study anyways. Other times we just can't help it, but we just have to get ourselves doing other things. Yeah, I get it. I've been there a lot of times and I've employed strategies that have helped me overcome this. Despite having little amount of time, I've been able to cover so much and ace my exams. So in today's video, I'm going to share these tips with you. Just stick around till the end of today's video as it promises to be helpful. Now, the first thing I want you to do is to put yourself under pressure. Now, wait, let me explain. Now, a lot of people work efficiently when they are constrained or when they are time bound. I mean, they become more productive when they are time bound. And I want you to take advantage of this time factor. You can put yourself under pressure to study when you give yourself a time limit. One reason people spend so much time when they go to their study space to study and they may not even achieve so much is because they don't have a target or they've not set a target to be met at a specific amount of time. Okay, they don't have this time bound, they are not constrained, they don't know what they want to study at a particular period of time. When you go to study and you're not time bound and you don't have a certain goal to be met in a specific period of time, your mind will wander a lot and you think of a lot of things while you're studying. That's the reason why a lot of people go into their study spaces and they just, stare at their books because they look at their books, their mind wanders a lot, they think about a lot of things. That's because they don't have a target to be met at a specific amount of time. Well, if you can study with the consciousness that every minute counts, trust me, you would achieve a lot in a limited amount of time. Okay, this is one lifestyle I've adopted over the years and it really works for me because each time I go to study, I have goals to be met for each time. Even if it's 30 minutes I want to study, there are certain things I want to achieve in that 30 minutes. Okay, and at the end of these 30 minutes, I'll try to make sure I achieve them. Now, the next time you go to study, set a target to be met at a specific amount of time. Now, you may not know your capacity, you may not know what it is you're able to do at a specified amount of time, but if you keep up with this, with time, you'll get to know, okay, in 30 minutes time, I should be able to achieve this aspect of my notebook. I should be able to read these things and understand these things, okay? All of these things will come with time when you keep at it and you practice this lifestyle or this habit. Okay, let's say you want to study, let's say English language, for example, okay? And you want to go into your study to study English language. Now, don't just go with the mindset that you want to just go and study English language. I mean, before you even go to study, there should be something in your head that you want to achieve, that you want to cover. Okay, now let's say you want to study the parts of speech, for example. Yeah. Now, when you pick up your book, you want to study parts of speech. Now, give yourself a time limit, okay? It could be 30 minutes, it could be 1 hour, depending on how new parts of speech is to you. If the parts of speech, in English language now, it's something very, very new to you. Maybe you've not heard about it before. You don't know anything about it. That's the first time you're coming across it. It will require a lot of time, okay? But if it's something you had seen before, you know a little about, or maybe you want to do revision, it won't cost you so much of your time, okay? So depending on this factor, you just need to allocate certain time to study or to go over these parts of speech. And personally, what I do is, if I have 1 hour to go through the parts of speech, I'll spend 45 minutes to go through the parts of speech and then 15 minutes to ask myself, to test myself if I really understand this thing I actually came here to do. I'll test myself to know if I've achieved my goal of going through the parts of speech. I would ask myself questions, okay? And this leads me to the second tip. Practice active recall a lot. I mean, this is just the ability of testing yourself, asking yourself questions, after you've read a certain portion of your notebook or your textbook, you ask yourself questions to know if actually you got that thing you are studying. At the end of the time you've set aside to study a portion of your notebook or your textbook, ask yourself questions, okay? Ask yourself questions, test yourself to see if you've actually met your goals of studying. Now, one way to do this is you can generate these questions from your notebook or your textbook you used to study, or you can just generate these questions within yourself, I mean in your head or in your mind, whatever. You can just ask yourself questions, okay? Now, if you develop this habit of asking yourself questions at the end of each study session, the next time you go to study, you would have this consciousness that, okay, I have to study because at the end of this period, I'll test myself, I'll ask myself questions to know if I really study. Now, when you have this consciousness, you would study intensely, somehow. You just study intensely because at the end of this process, you would test yourself. And it will not be fair. You wouldn't feel good if asking yourself 10 questions based on what you studied, you're not able to answer 3 or 4. You feel bad and you feel disappointed in yourself, okay? So develop this habit of asking yourself questions at the end of the study session. Personally, what I do when I study, especially when I study soft copies, what I do is I copy this text bit by bit, and I send prompts to ChatGPT to help me generate questions. Depending on how large whatever it is I studied, I may be specific on the number of questions I want to ask, maybe 10 questions, 15, depending on how large what I studied is. Now, I'll ask it to generate these questions, So at the end of the generation process, the number of questions I'm able to answer tells me how well I've studied in that period. If I'm not able to answer up to 50% of the generated questions, then I feel I have not done a good job in studying, okay? So I'll maybe want to go through my notes again and see how I can get that corrected. But this ability to answer questions, this number of questions you're able to answer tells you how well you have studied. Now, if you want to generate questions with your textbook, good. Okay, just go flip through your textbook. Now, this time you're looking into your textbook with the aim of getting questions. Now, the next tip is to remove all forms of distractions. This should have been the very first tip, but I felt the tips already mentioned before now would have indirectly taken care of this. Remove all forms of distraction. This little time you've set aside to study shouldn't be tampered with. Take away your phones. Now, even if you must use your phone, maybe you want to use your phones to study, make sure the internet is disconnected and that you would not be entertaining any calls. And you can put your phone on flight mode or any way you wish you can do that to avoid calls getting into your phone. Make the most of this little time you have, okay? This is not the time for you to scroll through TikTok or scroll to Facebook or whatever. Everything can wait until you are done studying. When you're done studying, you have the whole time to take care of anything you want to take care of, okay? So just try to remove all forms of distraction. And again, in case you stay in an environment where people can reach out to you or something, maybe friends, relative, can easily reach out to you for some form of assistance. Well, I wouldn't say you shouldn't attend to them. Of course, it's inevitable when you have yourself around in an environment like that where people can reach out to you for assistance. But one way you can go about this, to navigate these forms of distraction is to isolate yourself so that you can give this maximum attention to your studies for this limited amount of time you have. Well, these tips are the tips I want to share with you, and I'm very, very sure that in case you have limited amount of time to study, these tips would help you very, very well if you implement them. And these are things I have been doing these are tips I have used in the past years, and they have helped me ace my exams. okay? And I hope that they will help you to, as you study for your exams or whatever it is you're preparing. And this is just about all I want to share with you. So if you found value in this content, please do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed, and I'll see you again in the next video. Take care.